cars can fly, right?
No, they can't. They have cars that like hook up to like airplane parts.
So the airplane carries it.
I guess so.
But for this example, it doesn't make sense, right? Because we know that cars can't fly. If I were to say, so pay attention. So pay attention. If I were to say the car drove, or the man drove the car, does that make sense? Can a man drive a car? So if it makes sense, we could be like, okay, a man can drive a car, right?
But girls can't.
But watch out what you say in the room, right?
You know what you're saying?
So, but it does make
My
sense.
sister can't.
Yeah?
She killed me.
Shh. Alright. Now, how about we use, do you think we could come up with some sentences that we just learned about? Or that we've learned about these past couple of days in lesson 4? Let's see if we can come up with a couple complete sentences using like what we've learned actually in biology the last day. If I were, I'm going to write a sentence. I want you to tell me what each of the parts of the sentence are. Just kind of like what we've done here, but I'm going to use terms that we have used in biology. So the first sentence, I'm going to write, don't forget the capital. Exactly. But tell me after I write it, I want you to go through and tell me each of the parts, okay? So the first part, so what I'm going to write is the electrons orbit the nucleus. And you can go ahead and write this on your paper too, so you have this as an example. So electrons orbit the nucleus. All right. Now, in some sentences, you actually might have more than one subject. So, now for this sentence right here, what am I going to look for first? What am I looking for? Capital. Do we have a capital? Yes. Do we have capital E? Do we have a? What's our next point? What's our next step? Natalie, what's our next step? End punctuation, right? Do we have an end punctuation here?
Yeah.
We do. What about our subject?
Yeah.
And what's our subject? We're talking about electrons, right? Okay. What about our verb?
Orbit.
So the orbiting the nucleus. So the orbit exactly would be our verb. So, and then what about the last step?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Gordon, does that make sense? Oh, electrons orbit the nucleus. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It does make sense. All right. And also, kind of a way that helps us know what's the subject and verb is if we were to write a sentence and then write the letter, kind of like for a subject, if we were to write S just above the word, this will help us see if it is a complete sentence. So if we write S up here, just above the electrons, we know this is the subject. And if we write V above orbit, we know that that is our verb. And that kind of helps us to know that it is a complete sentence. That helps us on two of the steps, right? Now let's go up with a second sentence. Using kind of the terms that we've used, or that we've learned about, let's come up with another short sentence, just like this. Let's see if we can do that. Who can give me an example? Just give me like another subject. What did we write about on Monday?
Atoms.
Atoms. We could write, so atoms will be our subject. And what about And I could actually kind of use what we've learned today. It's actually one of our, I think, our questions. But shares, can that be our verb? So we can do Adam as a subject. Get a pen that works first. As our subject. And we'll do shares as our verb. So if I were to use one of the sentences in the book that we just learned in lesson 4, we can write a sentence like, let's see, Adam. We can go ahead and write this down as well. We're going to actually probably have a couple verbs in action. This one is what I know. Adam shares. And you'll probably recognize this as I'm writing it. Lends. And borrows electrons.